Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, my name is Kent. I am Japanese American, born and raised in San Francisco, and I'm currently working at an international university in Tokyo.
Okay. Could you point out some of the biggest differences for you when you're living in San Francisco and when you're living here in Tokyo?
Well, one of the biggest differences would say the diversity. Essentially, San Francisco is one of the most diverse locations in the world. It's, 10 kilometers by 10 kilometers, and within that there's about 9 or 10 different neighborhoods, much more than that actually. But you can essentially walk 10 minutes and you'll be in Chinatown, and walk 10 minutes, Italy, an Italian town, walk 10 minutes downtown, walk another 10 minutes, maybe you'll be in a Latin American town. So you can just walk around the city looking for diversity, looking for different people, eating different food from different places. So it's an amazing location, yeah. While on the other hand, Tokyo, very businessy, lots of businesses with very much Japanese food everywhere. It's very difficult to find a diverse range of foods, I would say, especially at a low cost. So that's one of the biggest differences.
Okay. So what is your opinion about the level of English in the education level of English in Japan compared to the Western style?
Basically, in the 1950s, I believe, when the U.S. essentially rebuilt the education system after the war, the Japanese education system was based on reading and writing and more grammatical systems, while recent studies essentially show that language is best learned when you start at a listening and listening. When you're a baby, you don't speak, you don't write, you don't do any grammatical sentences. You listen to your parents, you listen to the English that's in the world. So that's what very much is incorporated in, I believe, Western foreign language education systems, at least recently, where listening and is a key component and trying to actually do communication, conversations. So Japan has recently started moving toward that. However, very much so, the whole point of foreign language is to communicate with someone that's foreign, and being able to communicate essentially creates motivation to further communicate, which leads to, interest in that language as well. So learning for foreign language just for business purposes doesn't really create that motivation. That's different from trying to communicate with an actual person. So that's a bit of a difference, I would say.
Okay. Tell me about the gender equality.
Well, first off, I must say that gender equality has not been achieved 100%, even in America as well. Salary differences as well as promotional opportunities are very much still limited for women in the business society. However, compared to Japan, there are much more benefits, essentially. You could think of easily the time off that a mother would be able to get when she has a baby. In the U.S., you definitely get the same position, or even possibly higher position once you come back from maternity leave. However, in Japan, a lot of companies actually don't want to pay for that or don't want to deal with that. So they actually try to, not convince, but lead you toward possibly getting a part-time job when you come back, a part-time position, or even actually leaving the company as a whole. So those types of, differences between the U.S. and Japan do exist, and the whole company atmosphere is different as well. From simply like who makes the tea for all the company in the office, that's very much a difference. But I would still state that the U.S. has not really 100% achieved equality in that sense. So, however, Japan has a long ways to go. Would be it, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about your free time. What do you do when you are weekends, for example? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
You're talking about in the U.S. or in Japan?
Both. Let's say both.
In Japan, there's, in Tokyo especially, extremely busy, extremely densely populated. So major, I guess not attractions, but events, things like that are way jam-packed with people. So depending on the events, choosing not to go is actually possibly less stressful. So in the US, major events are pretty okay to attend in terms of like not being crammed into a small location with lots of people. So it's a great relief from your daily work life or daily life at home. But in Japan, it's a bit stressful to go out. A lot of people would say, the train's going to be crowded, it's going to be a lot of people, you might wait in lots of lines. So that's a little bit of difference between the US and Japan for me. So Japan's mostly going out to drink, would be your normal weekend night out. Yeah, in the US I might do like various classes, various activities, events, anything that's going on. But in Japan it's much more steady pace of going out to drink. Yeah.
Okay. So to finish with today's interview, could you send a message to people in Japan, students or people who are working, and they have this dream, this idea that they want to go abroad and they want to stay there for maybe 1 year, it's like a working holiday, or actually move to another city and stay there for a long time. So as a Japanese person, how can you encourage them, or how can they start doing this? What should they do?
So there is two things I could actually say. One thing is that in most, I guess, cultural or study abroad cases, people reference the U curve, which says that you get more and more excited, and then you actually get used to then your euphoria, your excitement for the culture subsides, and then you go down and you level out. However, recent studies show that actually it doesn't go up first, it actually goes down for the first 2-3 weeks. So the first 2-3 weeks are actually the hardest to adapt. Essentially, you have to get all your belongings together, your apartment, your job, everything. So I would say expect the hardest part to be the first 2-3 weeks of getting used to any sort of new environment. The other thing would be to simply be optimistic, stay positive. You might see differences in cultures and differences in environments. However, just pick out the positive things that you thought were great, and find in those optimistic situations why you went to that country, why you went abroad. And that would be the way to keep going, especially during those hard periods.
Okay, so thank you very much for coming to this interview. We're done. Thank you very much.